Terraform is becoming an extremely popular choice for infrastructure as code because it understands each of the popular clouds and can easily manage the infrastructure within a cloud. But there are little information available. How can I build a completely free end-to-end DevOps pipeline for managing infrastructure within Google Cloud? Myself, Anirban, as a cloud architect, I'm going to talk about how can we build a CI/CD pipeline completely free, starting from scratch to manage infrastructure within Google Cloud. We'll start with GitHub, where we'll be keeping our Terraform artifacts or .tf or Terraform files, and any changes or commits within the GitHub will actually trigger a workflow within Terraform Cloud, where each workflow will have two stages. The first stage is the plan stage, where we'll be verifying what infrastructure Terraform is going to create for us, or change for us, or destroy for us. And if we're happy with the plan phase, we go ahead and apply to make the changes within Google Cloud through a service account which have got the appropriate roles and permissions to manage the infrastructure within our Google Cloud project. We're going to have a step-by-step demo for each of the phases to eventually build a CI/CD pipeline using Terraform Cloud, source code control as GitHub on Google Cloud. Let's have a look. Okay, we have logged into Google Cloud and we've created a demo project for the demo purposes. Now for Terraform to connect to Google Cloud and create and manage resources, we need to create a service account within Google Cloud. Let's create a service account. Terraform demo GCP SA. Let's give it a name. Create and continue. We're going to create a resource, for example, a GCS bucket. So let's find out an appropriate role. So if you scroll down here, see cloud storage, and you can select storage admin. Click on continue. Okay, give it a try once again. So cloud storage, right? And click on done. Now we need to create a key and download a key for the service account. Let's click on add key, create a new key in the JSON file, click on create, and a key should be downloaded locally into my machine, which we're going to use for authentication from the Terraform Cloud. Okay, now we're going to use GitHub as a version control for keeping the Terraform artifacts. Let's create a repo called Terraform demo GCP. Select private, create the repository. Now copy the repository URL, and we're going to use Visual Studio Code to connect to this repository, manage the artifacts or create the artifacts locally. It's easier. So clone git repository, provide the URL, click on enter, select path, and you can select the path over there. So it's cloning the repository locally. So there is no resources here at this point of time. So you're going to create a few artifacts, few Terraform. Now if you go to the providers of Google Cloud, and that's a Google Cloud provider by Terraform, and you can have a provider configuration here. So you can copy that and create a file called providers.tf. Paste that, and let's go back here and see the getting started guide. If you scroll down here, it will give you more information like what the provider configuration should be looking like. So copy and paste there. The project ID should be our project ID. So let's copy the project ID once again. So go down here. So copy the project ID. Come back here, paste it, save it. So we have got one file called providers.tf. Let's create another file called main.tf, And let's create one resource. Say we would like to create a GCS bucket, copy it from the Google Cloud Storage bucket in documentation. Come back here, paste it here. We need to create a bucket with a unique name. So usually we can create the bucket with a unique name, the project ID, because project ID usually unique. So copy that, paste it here in the bucket name, save it, and we can commit. Okay, and push. And once you commit and push these two files in the GitHub repo which I've just created, and they should be visible here. So let's refresh. All right, so we have got both the files present here. So we have created a service account in Google Cloud. We have created a GitHub repo, and we have created 2 Terraform files within the GitHub repo. Now, as a third step, we're going to connect Terraform Cloud to the GitHub repo so that any changes or any comments within the GitHub repo will trigger a pipeline inside Terraform Cloud to create the resources within Google Cloud. So we're building a pipeline end to end now. Now you can create a free account within Terraform Cloud. So once you log in, you will be able to see the screen. So we'll start from scratch. The first step, we need to create a Terraform organization. So Terraform demo GCP org. I'll put my name because that probably make things unique. Okay, and the next step, it will ask to choose a workflow, which means it will try to connect to a version control workflow, which in this case is our GitHub. So click on that. That gives you a GitHub. It should automatically pick up to repos which I've created. I've just created Terraform demo GCP. So I'll select that and I'll create a workspace. Now, once the workspace is being created, and go to this workspace and be able to see the workspace that got created. So click in there, and we need to configure a variable so that the Terraform Cloud is able to connect back to the GCP project. Now, if you remember on the first step, we have created a service account, downloaded a key. Now we're going to use the key over here. Now we need to do a bit of work here because I'll show you about the configuring variables. We need to create a variable. This should be an environment variable, and we're following the getting started guide. So if you look at here in the getting started guide, which you followed earlier, using Terraform Cloud as a backend. So in that case, you have to create an environment variable called Google Credentials. So let's copy that and go to the variable section, paste that variable name. Now in the value, if you look at here, remove the new line characters from the JSON key file and then paste the credentials. So if we open the JSON file, which you have downloaded as a key, this is the key, open it up in the Visual Studio Code, and that has got new lines within that. So we need to remove these new lines, otherwise this is not going to work. So there's a simple way to do that. If you type or press Ctrl Shift P, and there's an option called Join Lines, which you can also search here. And if you click on that, select that and Ctrl Shift P and Join Lines, that's going to give a single line. So that's something we need. Ctrl C, copy that. Don't want this to be added into GitHub repo over here. Go back here, go back to the variable section, paste it as a single line, select the sensitive and say variable. Now if you go to the run section, there is no runs here, and we can actually invoke a pipeline. So if we click on this action, start a new run, and that will invoke a plan and apply standard run, and click on the start run. This should trigger the first pipeline, and the first pipeline is got the plan queued. So Terraform is reading from the GitHub repo and is going to give a plan that's going to create a storage bucket, and that bucket name is something which you have created given with the unique project ID. So the plan looks good, and we need to confirm and apply. So that has to be manual. So looks good to me, and confirm plan. All right. So to do that, we can go back to the run section. That should be in the apply phase because we have passed the plan phase. So it's creating now the resource, which is Google Cloud Storage. So the state file of the Terraform has been created in the backend automatically. So that's the state file. You can also have a look at the state file, which has got the information which you've created, and it should be having the ID of the bucket and also the lifecycle rules which you have provided at the time of creation of the bucket. If we go back to the Google Cloud Console and if we search for GCS, the cloud storage, we should be able to see that bucket. So that's the bucket we've just created at this point of time. So we actually have created a pipeline end to end, and we have created a bucket through Terraform using Terraform Cloud with the artifacts kept in the GitHub. Now, as a last step, we will make a change to the same route so that we test the pipeline after triggering a commit uh, in the GitHub. So if you pick up the bucket which you've created, click on that, look at the life cycle over here. So it says the delete object is 3 days since object is created. So let's make a change into this lifecycle policy. So if you go back to our source code and see that's the age, which is the lifecycle policy, let's make a change to 5. Save it and commit it. So lifecycle changed from 3 to 5, commit it, and yeah, let's wait. All right, so sync changes, which effectively does the push for us. And if you go back to our GitHub repo, this main.tf should be having lifecycle policy change from 5 to 3 to 5. So if you refresh this page, it's not yet been done. Let's have a look. So it's still syncing the changes. Right, seems completed. So go back here, refresh the page. So that has become 5 and the commit time is just now. This should trigger a run here automatically. So if you have a look, this is a few seconds ago. So I've committed in GitHub, which has created a plan phase or triggered a plan phase in the Terraform Cloud. So you can actually have a look at the plan phase and what change it is recommending. So want to change, you can have a look here. What change is being recommended. So it's going to change from 3 days to 5 days. So it says the previous life cycle is 3 and the next one is 5. And that's a change sign within Terraform. This looks good to us. We can confirm and apply. So looks good to me for LF change, and we can confirm that. So that's going to go into the apply phase now. The apply phase is currently queued. Click on the run just to have a look. So this is being applied immediately. Now if you go back to here, this 3 days should be 5 days. So refresh this page. So that has become 5 days through the change. So what I've just seen is that we created a DevOps pipeline end to end with GitHub, where we are keeping the Terraform artifacts. And once we commit a change in the Terraform artifacts, that's going to trigger a pipeline in the Terraform Cloud, which in turn connecting to the Google Cloud through the service account keys is able to manage or change the resources. Now we can destroy everything at this point of time. Uh, what we can do, we can go back to our main.tf and we can comment out the resources which we have created and save it and destroy everything. Okay, sync, which is the pull, and this should again trigger a change here, so we can actually have a look here. This should all be commented out. Not yet. Okay. Right. So everything is commented. This should again trigger a run here. You can see there's a plan queued, which is destroy the comment which you've given. It's going into the planning phase. Can actually have a look. Want to destroy that something is being destroyed, which is the bucket which you've created. And you can confirm destroy. Okay. Confirm the plan. That's going to go into the apply phase now. Okay. And if you go back to our bucket, this bucket is already disappeared because it has already been applied. Hopefully that helps because we have established an CI/CD pipeline with the help of Terraform Cloud to manage infrastructure within Google Cloud. We also have checked how can we create a bucket as an infrastructure, how can we make change to a bucket. For example, we change the lifecycle policies of objects of deletion from 3 days to 5 days, and we also have destroyed everything together.